Hello everyone and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and today, as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, I'm going to be showing you guys all of the books that I either bought or received in December. I'm so sorry that it's taken me so long to get this video out to you guys, but as I keep mentioning in my videos lately, Tom and I have bought our first house together. We are completely gutting and renovating it, and it's taking up a lot of our time, especially as we are both working full-time as well as teachers. So most weekends have been spent there, and so I haven't had the chance to sit down and film some videos for you. We are currently at the stage now though where we physically can't do anything, and so we have to delegate jobs to other people and wait for other people to come in and do some work for us, which is why I am finally able to sit down today and film this book haul for you. I will be splitting up this video into two parts. The first set of books I'm going to show you are books that I very kindly received for Christmas, and then the second set of books are books that I treated myself to. So without further ado, let's just dive into the books because I have a lot of amazing sounding stories to talk about and I can't wait to finally show them off to you guys. The first book I have to show you guys today is Suddenly a Murder by Lauren Munoz, and this was very kindly sent my way by Chloe over at Chloe Reads Books. This is a book that I've been interested in ever since I first heard about it, so a massive thank you, Chloe, for sending this one my way. I will say that Chloe put so much effort into sending these to me. She had wrapped them all up and everything, and I do say these because I do have something else to show you guys in a second, but it was lovely. She wrapped them up and I got to put them under my tree and open them on Christmas morning, which was just lovely. As you can probably tell, this is a murder mystery. I believe it's a YA one. I honestly haven't really looked into it all that much, but on the back it just says, to celebrate the end of high school, Izzy joins her best friend Cassidy and 5 others on a luxury 1920s themed getaway at the glamorous Ashwood Manor. There they party in vintage dresses as secrets are spilled and scandals unfold. It's all fun and games until Cassidy's boyfriend turns up dead. Soon the sparkling young socialites are the prime suspect in his murder. There's the girlfriend and the other girl, the old friend and the new friend, the brooding enigma, and then there's Izzy, the girl who brought the knife. That sounds amazing. I'm guessing it's an isolated murder mystery, which is something that I love to read about, and I'm hoping that it's just going to be a quick book to fly through. Now I have just seen some mixed media elements in here. Let me see if I can find it again. I hope this isn't a spoiler, I don't know, but we do have some text messages there, which you guys know I love in my books. I always love when there's an added element to it, and so again, hopefully that will mean that it's a faster paced book and that we can get a lot more depth in this story. And then the second present I got from Chloe honestly blew me away. I love this so much. There was a note that came with it that said she got me this because I loved something similar when she showed it in one of her videos, and I was trying to think back and think what would that have been, and I honestly couldn't have told you, but when I opened this it all made sense and I just laughed because I absolutely love it. It's so thoughtful and I will definitely get some use out of it. So it came in this lovely little box that I'm struggling to open, and then as you can see we have a crocodile, but it's actually a bookmark, so I don't know if you can see that, but it has a lip at the bottom there, and so the idea is that you pop it into your book and it lies flat like that. I am obsessed, you guys. I absolutely love it. Isn't it the coolest thing? Weird fun fact about me as well, guys. I absolutely love crocodiles and alligators. I love learning about them. I love watching videos about them. I watched a kind of documentary series about them not too long ago on Netflix as well, which was fantastic. So this is very fitting. I also am desperate to go to Florida with Tom, and Florida is known for its gators. So yeah, it was just a very thoughtful present and I just love it so much. So I have kept it in its little box so that I don't lose it, but I think I will keep it like this on my shelves, and then I will have a lovely crocodile friend to use as a bookmark. Once again, a massive thank you to Chloe for sending me both the book and the bookmark. They are such thoughtful gifts. I can't wait to get to this one, and of course I will use the bookmark as often as I can. The next book I received was A Haunting in Venice by Agatha Christie, and this one was very kindly sent to me by Emily over at Emily Kathleen Reads. I do have a little note with this one, so I will just read it out. It says, "Merry Christmas, have a lovely time. Of course I had to get you a Christie book. As always, enjoy." For those of you who don't know, Emily and I are both massive fans of Agatha Christie, and the new film A Haunting in Venice has just come out based on Halloween Party by Agatha Christie. I recently reread this book. I really enjoyed it, and I did go to see the film, which once again blew me away. It was very creepy but so good, and I recently hauled the movie tie-in editions to Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, and so when this one came out I added it to my wishlist this because of course I have an Agatha Christie collection and I wanted this to be a part of it. The only sad thing is that it doesn't look anything like the other two books, but I can see past that. I'm really glad to have this one now. It is so creepy. I love it, but I wish they would have gone a different route with it and made it match the other ones. Maybe they could have had a gondola or something with Poirot on it. I don't know, but I'm very glad to have this one now though. It completes my movie tie-in editions, so thank you Emily for sending this one my way. Now, A Haunting in Venice is actually pretty different to Halloween Party, which is the book that it's based off of, but the synopsis of this one is the same synopsis as Halloween Party, so I will just tell you about that one, but bear in mind the film is a little bit different. This book opens up at a Halloween party where a teenager called Joyce Reynolds boasts about having witnessed a murder. Now, Joyce is known for telling lies, and so nobody actually believes her. That is until she ends up dead. She has been murdered in the apple bobbing tub, and so of course people start to assume that she actually had witnessed a murder and the murderer was there with them. And it just says here, set against a night of trickery and the occult, Hercule Poirot and Ariadne Oliver must race to uncover the real evil responsible for this ghastly murder. Halloween Party is the sensational Agatha Christie novel that inspired the brand new feature film directed by and starring Kenneth Branagh. This special edition is introduced by its screenwriter Michael Green. I love Kenneth Branagh, I love the film as I mentioned. This book does hold a special place in my heart as well because I do tend to reread it quite often during the Halloween season, and I think I like it so much just because Ariadne Oliver's in here, who is just brilliant. I love her and Poirot together, and this is definitely one of the more confusing cases. I want to say it has a lot of different elements to it, a lot of different suspects. It's very complex and I just think it's an all-round good time. So thank you Emily for adding another Agatha Christie book to my collection. I can't wait to put it on my shelves with the rest of them, and I will definitely be reading the introduction as well. And then the last two books I got for Christmas were both given to me by my sister. My family tend to steer away from buying books for me for Christmas because of course I have a lot, and so it's safer just to go with something else because they never know which books I actually own or what I've read. But my sister was struggling a little bit with what to get me, so I did send over my Amazon wish list. I explained to her how it works and that if someone were to buy me a book off my wish list then it would disappear, so there wouldn't be a chance of her buying me something that I already had. And I may have steered her in a certain direction because I have recently been wanting to get into Brandon Sanderson. I have read Elantris by him and The Final Empire, but I've wanted to dive deeper into the Cosmere and carry on with the rest of the books in the first Miss Bond trilogy, and after that dive into the rest of the books in this expansive world. So I did have Miss Bond book 1, which is The Final Empire, and Miss Bond book 2, which is The Well of Ascension, and Siwan very kindly got me the third book, which is The Hero of Ages. Now, as well as that, she did also get me the first book in Miss Bond Era 2, which is The Alloy of Law, and I don't know if you can see, but I do have a Brandon Sanderson collection behind me because after I got this one I did go ahead and buy a few more Brandon Sanderson books, mainly the books in Miss Bond Era 2. But yeah, thank you so much Siwan for getting these two for me. I have no idea what Miss Bond Era 2 is about and I don't really want to be honest with you, but I have read The Final Empire. As I mentioned, I have just reread it as well, and in that first book we follow our main character Calcia, who is a Mistborn. Now, Mistborn are people who can ingest metals in order to harness different abilities. Most people can only harness one metal, but Calcia, as I mentioned, is a Mistborn, and that means that he can ingest and use all 8 metals. For 1,000 years the Scar in this world have been oppressed. They have essentially been treated worse than slaves, and so Calcia is trying to rile them up and start a Scar rebellion in order to overthrow the Final Empire and the Lord Ruler in particular, who is basically the Emperor. Along the way he meets our second main character called Vin, and they work together to try and overthrow this empire, as I mentioned, in order to give the Scar and the rest of the people in this world a better chance at life. That sounds very vague and I feel like I'm not doing it justice, but I don't want to spoil anything. I do find this series very hard to describe. All I'll say is that you just need to dive on into the series and experience it firsthand. I absolutely love it. I loved it even more the second time round, and I'm so happy now to add 2 more books to my collection. So thank you so much Siwan for getting these to me, even though I did kind of sway you a little bit. I'm so thankful that you did go ahead and choose these two, because I know I'm going to read them and hopefully love them. And then staying on theme with Brandon Sanderson, the next book that I actually bought myself was Wbreaker. This is a beautiful edition once again. I believe that this is a standalone book based in the Cosmere, and it just says here that Wbreaker is the story of two sisters who happen to be princesses. The god king, one of them has to marry, a lesser god, and an immortal trying to undo the mistakes he made hundreds of years ago. Theirs is a world in which those who die in glory return as gods, a world transformed by biochromatic magic, a power based on an essence known as breath, which can only be collected one unit at a time from individual people. But it's worth it. By using breath and drawing upon the colour in everyday objects, all manner of miracles and mischief can be performed. That doesn't really give too much away, but as I've just mentioned, I feel like you're better off just diving straight into a Brandon Sanderson novel and experiencing it for yourself, because that's what I've done with all of his books so far. I've ended up having a great time. They've exceeded all my expectations, and even though the world building is a little bit confusing at first, you soon get your head around everything and it makes so much sense. It all clicks and it just works so well. So I did decide to treat myself to this one, and honestly I'm not mad about it. The next book I bought myself in December was Make Me a Liar by Melissa Landers, and this is one that I actually had pre-ordered. I believe I featured it in my anticipated books video last year. All I know is that it's a murder mystery thriller book which features body jumping. The synopsis is extremely long, so I'm not going to read it out to you, but it just says here, how can you plead innocent when the media caught you red-handed? So I believe that someone jumped into our main character's body, they committed murder, and then they jumped back into theirs, and so our main character is of course looked at as the murderer, but Tia is forced to ask her infuriatingly gorgeous ex to help clear her name and bring the criminal who hijacked her unconscious body to justice. Of course, it's not that simple, because they quickly find the heat is on in more ways than one, as their investigation unearths multiple scandals, massive corruption, and more than a few stray bullets. It just sounded very interesting to me. I thought it was a cool concept. I will say this is a very short book, so I'm not sure how it's actually going to draw me in and make the murder mystery compelling enough to keep my interest. But I'm hoping that it's a fast-paced book that I can read pretty much in one sitting, and I will of course let you guys know my thoughts on it once I do pick it up. Next up we have a book that I am very excited about, and that one is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, which is the first book in the Crowns of Nyaxia duology. I have heard nothing but amazing things about Carissa Broadbent, you guys. I am slowly getting into my fantasy romance era, and Carissa Broadbent is mentioned so much. Now this is a book that's actually been on my radar for quite a while. It was recently picked up by a publisher and has now been traditionally published as a hardcover, and when I saw that it was available to pre-order on Waterstones, I bit the bullet and just decided to get it. I do already have the second book pre-ordered as well, so I will definitely need to get to this one soon. All I know is that it's a fantasy romance with vampires. It just says here, The Hunger Games meets vampires in this heart-wrenching epic fantasy romance of dark magic and bloodthirsty intrigue from best-selling author Carissa Broadbent. And on the back it says, human or vampire, the rules of survival are the same. Never trust, never yield, and always, always guard your hearts. I've heard so many people rave about this one. I'm so happy to finally own it. I will be reading it hopefully very soon. If not in February, it will be in March. And I just think I'm gonna have a really good time with this, guys. I'm desperate for a new fantasy romance to dive into. So this is extremely high up on the list, and because I've heard such good things about it, I am definitely intrigued and excited to dive in. The next book I bought is Upon a Frosted Star by Emma Kuznia. This is a Swan Lake retelling, which I have already read. This is the gorgeous Waterstones exclusive edition, and I decided to get this one because I read A Midnight in Everwood last year, I believe, by the same author, and I do have the Waterstones exclusive edition of that one. So when I saw that this was still available, I did decide to pick it up. Now I will say that I didn't love this book as much as I thought I would. The premise of this book is that essentially every time it starts to snow, magical invitations kind of fall out the air and invite people to an extremely elaborate party. When our main character, a struggling artist called Forster, gets an invitation, he is bewitched by the magic of of the entire evening. Determined to find out more about these parties and the host behind them, Forster soon finds a hidden mansion, silent with secrets, and a cursed woman who is desperate to be free. Now, the premise of this sounds fantastic, and whilst it was very interesting and atmospheric, I will say I think it's the ending that missed the mark here for me. It is quite open-ended, which I didn't really like, and I just wasn't a fan of the direction that it went in. So even though I did buy this beautiful book, it's not one that I absolutely love, so I'm not actually sure whether I want to keep it or not. It is also a signed edition, I believe. Let me just double check. Yes, it is. It is signed by the author. So it is a special book, though the height of this one is different to the author's other book that I own, so that's going to annoy me as well. But yeah, it's a beautiful book. It's a lovely book to read during the winter months. I'm just not sure whether I actually will end up keeping this one or not. Same goes for Midnight in Everwood, actually. I'm not sure whether I actually need to keep that one, but I had a good time with them. The audiobook for this one was really good. I did listen to it rather than physically read it, and as I said, the atmosphere is fantastic. It is definitely magical and whimsical, and there's also an element of mystery in it as well that I did really enjoy. Next up we have Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross, which is the second and final book in the Divine Rivals duology. I don't know if there's a name for this duology, there probably is, but I still haven't read the first book. I wanted to pre-order this one though because I tend to binge series, especially duologies. So now that I have this one, I'm even more excited to dive into the first one. I do actually have it to hand. It looks like this. It's a beautiful cover, and both of them together I just love. Again, this is a fantasy romance series that I cannot wait to dive into. I've heard nothing but amazing things, and I'd actually planned on reading this in November, but as you can tell, I still haven't. I desperately need to give myself a kick to read these. I'm thinking of possibly filming a reading vlog one weekend where I just sit down and power through both books. I feel like that would be really fun, and it would definitely keep me engaged in the story, so please do let me know if that's something that you would like to see. But again, it just says here, when two rival journalists find love through a magical connection, their fate depends on their facing the depths of hell together. An epic enemies to lovers fantasy novel filled with hope and heartbreak and the unparalleled power of love. That sounds amazing. It's why I decided to just go ahead and pre-order the second book, because I knew I'd want to dive into it straight away. I'm hoping that they live up to the hype for me. I feel like that's why I have been putting it off, because I just don't want to be that one person that doesn't like them. But now that I have both of them, as I mentioned, I will be prioritizing them, and I can't wait to finally dive into the series and find out what all of the hype is about. The next book I'm going to talk about is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow, and this was the December Wbreaker book. This is a beautiful edition. I do have a full unboxing up on my channel if you would like to go and watch it. I will of course have it linked up above and down below for you guys, but I would highly recommend you go and watch that. The edition is gorgeous, and I do give you an in-depth look on the book itself. This is the author of the 10,000 Doors of January, which is a book that I have, but it is on my self-destruct list because I've owned it for a while. I've really had no intention of picking it up, but since receiving this one, I'm definitely feeling like I should. This is another one that I really don't know anything about. All I know is that it's a kind of haunted house story in which our main character gets offered the chance to go and work at this haunted house, and she bumps into Arthur, its heir. Then it says, sinister forces converge on Eden, and Opal realizes that if she wants a home, she'll have to fight for it, even if it involves digging up her family's ugly past to achieve a better future. She'll have to go down, deep down beneath Starling House to claw her way back to the light. So again, I don't really know too much about this one, but I don't want to be honest with you. I feel like this is another one where I would want to dive in without really knowing anything and without really setting any expectations for it. The stunning artwork of this definitely draws me in though. I can't wait to read it. I feel like I will read this more towards September, October time, just based off of the dark atmospheric nature of this book, but I will be eagerly anticipating reading it. I may read the 10,000 Doors of January first just to see whether I do gel with the author's writing or not, but this is a beautiful copy. I'm so glad to own it, and I can't wait to pick it up in a few months time. And then the last few books I'm going to show you, you may have been able to guess what they are from the thumbnail. I wasn't planning on buying these, but I had been wanting to watch the new film, and an ad for these came up, and I thought I would read the book before watching the film, and I still haven't done that yet. But I did go ahead and buy myself a box set of the Hunger Games books by Suzanne Collins, which features the Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay, and the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm really annoyed that these are all out of order, so I am just going to take the plastic off and show you guys the books. I have been wanting to do this for the longest time, but I've been waiting to film this video. I bought these secondhand off of a website called Books to Door. I absolutely love that website. The books are in basically pristine condition. I've bought a few off of there in the past, and as I mentioned, when I saw these, I just had to get them, guys. I've been wanting to get some really nice editions of the Hunger Games in particular, just because I love them so much. And then of course, with the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes having just been released, I wanted a set that included that one as well. So I'm very happy to have this one. Let's just see what they look like though. We of course have the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the prequel novel. This is the one that I haven't read and I desperately want to, especially with the film having just been released. All I know about this one is that we follow President Snow, and I'm guessing it shows us how the Hunger Games came to be. Then we have the first book, which is the Hunger Games, the second book, which is Catching Fire, and the third book, which is Mockingjay. I did recently rewatch all of the Hunger Games films. They are some of my all-time favourite films, and it just reminded me how much I love this series. I'm not sure whether I will reread these. I have been debating doing so, especially as I will be reading the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes in February, hopefully. So that means I could possibly do a reread of these. I think that would be a very fun time, but I don't want to commit to something in case I can't fully give my time to it, so we'll see. But I would love to, because I read these, I want to say about 5 years ago now for the last time, and I love that reading experience. It made me realise how close these are to the films as well. The films stayed so close to the source material, and I just thought they were so well done, and of course we do get a lot more details in the books rather than just from watching the films. So even though this was a bit of an impulse buy, I'm so glad to now own these. I don't think I've ever owned a copy of the Hunger Games, so I'm extremely happy to have these in my collection now, and yeah, they're gonna have pride of place on my bookshelves, and I can't wait to possibly reread them very soon. So there we have it, guys. These are all of the books that I either bought or received in December. Thank you once again to Chloe, Emily and Siwan for my Christmas presents. You really didn't have to send me anything, but it is very much appreciated, and I will be making sure to prioritize the books. All in all, I'm extremely happy with this stack. It's definitely a bigger one than I would have liked, and it is very heavy, let me tell you, but all of these books are some that I'm so excited for. I've read a few of them as well, which is definitely good going, and I will be again prioritizing these so that I can see whether or not I would like to keep them in my collection. If you have made it this far through into the video and would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and comment a skull emoji down below. I feel like this cover definitely stands out because of how eerie it is. The black background with the skull on it is just so striking, and it's fitting because it was a gift as well. So if you don't have anything in particular that you would like to say, but you would like to let me know that you're still here, please go ahead and comment that now. I know I say it all the time, but seeing you guys comment the emoji of the video truly does mean the world to me. It blows me away that you guys watch these all the way through, and it really is appreciated. As well as that, please don't forget to click the like button if you like this video, and the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. But that is it from me today, guys. Thank you so much once again for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!